Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another turbo mock. If you guys are brand new to the channel, we do our mock drafts a little bit different. We do a thing called turbo mocks where we go through our mock draft and only take about 10 to maybe 20 seconds to explain each pick. That way I'm not taking up you guys' whole day with a 30-minute video. I feel like there's plenty of content out there. If you guys want full in-depth analysis, you guys can go check out other channels, but we like to keep it a little concise here. I don't want to take up too much of your time and I want to streamline my information directly to you guys. If that kind of content interests you, I suggest you hit the subscribe button down below. That way you guys can stay up to date with my latest content. I do CB film breakdown as well as prospect profiles, so I always have fresh content coming out during this draft cycle. Without further ado, let's get right into the mock. All right, first order of business. It's no secret, the Bears are going to trade back this pick. They're not going to select anything at the first overall, but in this mock, they're going to trade back to the second overall with the Houston Texans. To get this trade done, we're going to send the second and the 12th pick overall. In the real draft, I'm sure it's going to be a way bigger trade, but for our mock draft's sake, we're just going to get those 2 first-round picks for this draft. And then with the first overall pick that the Houston Texans just traded for, they're going to go ahead and select the quarterback 1 of this class and take Bryce Young. We're not going to get too cute and have the Bears trade back a bunch of times to get 30 overall picks, so we're just going to stay put. And we're going to take the best defensive player in the draft. We're taking Jalen Carter. He's going to go to the Bears. The Bears also got the 12th overall pick. So this looks like a win. And we're setting up Justin Fields to go win football games. The Cardinals are kind of a mess right now. Their franchise quarterback might be out half the season. We're going to get a generational talent on that roster. We're not going to overthink it. We're taking Will Anderson here. He's potentially the best player in the entire class. And this team just needs good talent. We're going to have a little bit of fun in this mock draft. Although CJ Stroud is my second overall quarterback in this class, and I think he's a very special prospect, there's a lot of draft buzz about Anthony Richardson right now. We're going to select him here. I don't forecast this to happen. I don't think this is the right decision, but for the sake of the mock, we're going to see what it looks like. Anthony Richardson, 4th overall, Indianapolis Colts. There's a lot of talk about Tyree Wilson being a better prospect than Will Anderson, although I don't agree with that take. It seems like the draft scouts and the execs in the NFL really like Tyree Wilson. We're going to take him here for the Seattle Seahawks. I feel like we've been pretty consistent with that pick, and I think that's a really good pick at the 5th overall. We're going to take a cornerback here for Detroit. We've been doing this in our last several mocks. You can pick your poison, whoever you think is CB1. I think Christian Gonzalez is CB1 as of right now, but people love Devin Witherspoon. We're going to take Devin Witherspoon here. The Will Levis hype is pretty serious. We're going to give CJ Stroud a little bit of the Justin Fields treatment and let him fall a little bit here. Will Levis is going to get selected by the Raiders. That's absolutely the wrong pick, but we're going to do it for the sake of the mock. Will Levis will probably get selected in the top 10, and maybe the Raiders are the one that makes that mistake. I'm staying on brand and going to take an edge rusher here for the Falcons. We've been really consistent about doing that for this team. This team's devoid of pass rushers. We've been taking Will McDonald for them lately, but we're going to go ahead and take Myles Murphy here. There's a real chance that he's a top 10 pick regardless, so I think this will be a great fit and a great player for the Falcons. This looks like the Carolina Panthers' dream. CJ Stroud sitting there at 9th overall. They get a second chance to take their Ohio State quarterback. They probably should have taken Fields when they had the opportunity, but they get a chance to correct that wrong here with CJ Stroud and hopefully their franchise quarterback. The Eagles are in a prime spot here to trade back. No offensive tackles have gone off the board, and it looks like there's 3 or 4 teams in a row that could use an offensive tackle. I'm going to trade my New England Patriots up to the 10th overall here. That way they can jump ahead of some of these teams who need offensive tackle. The Pats are going to trade the 14th overall as well as a mid-second this year to trade up to the 10th overall. I have no idea if this is accurate. We don't like to go into too much depth of these trades. We're just going to make them happen for the sake of the mock. The Pats are on the clock and they're going to take the offensive tackle 1 in this class. Now we're a few days before the combine right now. If Peter Skoronski comes in with like 30-inch arms, he's absolutely not offensive tackle 1. But as of right now, his tape and his production speaks for itself. He's offensive tackle 1. The Titans are on the clock and they just got rid of their franchise left tackle as well. So they're going to replace him immediately here. They're going to take, in my opinion, the best offensive tackle in the class, and that's going to be Broderick Jones. After the Bears traded back from the 1st overall, they got the 12th overall pick here from the Houston Texans. Although it might be a reach here at 12th overall, we're going to take Jackson Smith-Njigba, the Ohio State Buckeye, and we're going to pair him up with Justin Fields, somebody that he's already played with before. You're getting a very explosive, productive slot receiver, a reliable weapon for Justin Fields, and hopefully that'll help his development. The Jets are on the clock, and they're kind of just like an automatic pick here for me. Franchise left tackle sitting here in Paris Johnson Jr. Can never go wrong taking tackles in this class, especially when you need one. So we're going to do that here for the Jets. In the typical way that the Eagles always do, they end up winning the draft. After trading back and accruing a 2nd round pick, they're still going to get Christian Gonzalez here at 14. That's my CB1. This is a team that needs a cornerback. They get an absolute home run steal here, and they couldn't be happier with their selection at 14. Regardless of who's at quarterback for the Packers, they need some wide receivers, especially some blue chip talent. I think Jordan Addison is just that. He's a pretty safe wide receiver prospect. He's a very quick twitch, route running savant. He can do pretty much anything on the field. And I think if Jordan Love's the quarterback, this is a really good weapon that you can surround him with. The Washington Commanders are kind of a mess on offense right now. Their offensive line's terrible. Sam Howell might be their franchise quarterback. We're not even sure yet. This team needs some serious offensive line help. We're going to get him the best center in the class. That's John Michael Schmitz from Minnesota. Now, interior offensive line are never sexy picks, and this team does have other needs. We're just going to get a great center, a very good prospect, and he can start building some rapport with Sam Howell. It's been a while since we paired up Joey Porter Jr. with the Steelers. We're going to do that here for obvious reasons. The Steelers need a corner, and obviously the connection with their dad being an all-time Steelers great. I don't think I see Joey Porter falling this far, but if he does, look for the Steelers to take him. I believe the Detroit Lions just need to get better on defense. We just took Devin Witherspoon with the 6th overall. We're going to shore up that defensive line a little bit more. We're going to get a very powerful edge rusher here in Lucas Van Ness. He's going to slide right into the opposite side of the line as Aiden Hutchinson, and you're going to be able to really attack the opposing quarterbacks. The Buccaneers have one of the worst left tackles in the entire league. If Kyle Trask is going to be the quarterback, at least for 2023, we're going to get him a really good left tackle prospect in Anton Harrison. At pick 19, I think that's a fair price to pay. He's not the elite of the elite when it comes to offensive tackle prospects, but I think he's a very good pass blocker, and at the bare minimum, he's an improvement. We're going to continue to improve that defensive line for the Seattle Seahawks. Brian Brzee is a good defensive tackle prospect. He's one that can get after the quarterback. He's a pretty freaky athlete and was a very sought-after 5-star. I think his ceiling is immense, and he looks to be a better pro than he was in college. We're going to plug him in here onto the defensive line. That's a defensive line that's devoid of youth as well as high-end talent. Keenan Allen is out of the door for the Chargers. Quentin Johnston's kind of a weird fit for the team, but we're going to take him anyway. His upside is too high, especially here at pick 21. They'll find a way to make him work. He's probably going to run 4.4 at the combine this weekend. You pair that speed with his skill set and Justin Herbert's big arm, the ceiling for that offense is going to be so damn high. I think this is a fair value for Quentin Johnston. One of my favorite prospects in this entire draft would be Will McDonald. I think projecting his future is so exciting because they used him in a very weird way. They used him as like a traditional defensive end when he's really a speed rusher with great technique and pass rush moves. The Ravens definitely need wide receivers. They need cornerbacks. They might even need a quarterback, but they desperately need some good edge rushers. Will McDonald's going to go and start immediately for the Ravens, and this is a team that knows how to use their edge rushers and develop them so damn well. With the Vikings signing Brian Flores as their new defensive coordinator, I don't see them going any other direction than taking a defensive player in the first round. I think you take Deonte Banks here, you get better at cornerback, you get a versatile defensive back, one that can move all over the formation, he plays with high IQ, and I think you're going to get the most out of that player when you pair him with Brian Flores. The Jags need some playmakers on defense. There's arguably not a bigger playmaker in the entire draft than Brian Branch. Brian Branch is a player who's going to be able to play all over the defensive formation. He's like a box safety that can play slot, no problem. He could play free safety if you asked him to. He's really just like a jackhammer on defense, and this is a team that is so bad against the pass. We're just getting a superstar talent on that defensive roster. The Giants need an alpha wide receiver, so they're going to take Zay Flowers here. He might not be the prototypical wide receiver one, but I think he's so damn dynamic. His upside is unlimited. He's got a little touch of that Jalen Waddle, that Antonio Brown, a little Tyreek Hill to him. He's probably going to run 4.4 or faster this weekend. So we're going to pair Daniel Jones with a good wide receiver here. Next on the clock, we have the Dallas Cowboys. This team's losing Dalton Schultz. They're desperate for some receiving options. I don't think there's a better receiving option at the tight end position than Dalton Kincaid. He is a super athlete at tight end. He was extremely productive last year. If you go back and watch the USC game, he caught like 14 passes for like 250 yards. He's a contested catch merchant. He doesn't drop balls. He's a very dynamic route runner. He doesn't block for shit, but he's a really good receiving weapon. And I think that's just what the Cowboys need. We're not going to ignore the tackle position for the Bills anymore. Darnell Wright gonna slot into a starting right tackle spot. Gonna be an immediate upgrade at that right tackle spot. If you want Josh Allen to stay healthy long term, you gotta get better on the offensive line. Maybe dial back some of his designed runs as well. But I'm in love with Darnell Wright. He's a value here, and the Bills get an awesome offensive tackle. In the traditional Cincinnati Bengals way, we're going to ignore tackle. It's a terrible idea, but they always do it. Joe Mixon's a cap casualty. He didn't even look good last year. He had that one crazy Adrian Peterson-like game, but the rest of the season, he was pretty crap. I expect them to cut him, and we're going to replace him with Bijan Robinson. You guys do what you want with that pick. It just feels very on brand. He's sitting here at pick 28 and they've cut Joe Mixon by then. There's no chance they pass on Bijan. Now, the New Orleans Saints need to do a lot to get under the cap this offseason. It's going to be a very important and big free agency for them. We're going to take the best player on the board right now, and that's Michael Mayer. This team needs offensive passing weapons. I know Juwan Johnson was what he was last year, but we're talking about Michael Mayer. This guy's a very special tight end prospect. Whoever the quarterback is, they're going to really like this guy in the red zone. Hopefully they can get to the red zone, but this team just needs a bunch of different things. I'll be curious to see how they work out all their holes, but we're just going to get the best player on the board right now, and I think Michael Mayer is a lock to go in the first round. We're here at the 30th pick for the Eagles. TJ Edwards and Kaiser White are both due money. There's potential that they walk in free agency this offseason. I like Drew Sanders so much. I think his upside as like an every down middle linebacker is so high, but he also made the transition from an edge rusher, so he has such good and refined edge rushing tools. He's going to be able to make an impact from a down-to-down basis, and this is a position that might need some overhauling this offseason, especially if they don't want to pay their guys. We're on the clock with the Super Bowl champs here, and this is a team that can go a bunch of different directions. Wide receiver is the easy option, but I don't love the value here for any of the players. I think this team could get a little better on the defensive line, especially on the interior defensive line. You want to pair someone alongside Chris Jones to be able to get after the quarterback, as well as stuff the run. I think Kalijah Cansey's kind of a day one player. I assume he's going to test really well this weekend. There's real buzz about him being like a top 15 player in the draft. We'll see what happens. I don't know how I feel about top 15, but I think sticking him here on the defensive line right next to Chris Jones, I think they'll find creative ways to get this guy in the backfield, but nonetheless, he had great college production. He's a really fun film study, and the Chiefs are traditionally a team that takes chances. They're going to take a chance here with Kalijah Cansey. A quick recap of what we did. We traded the Texans up to the first overall to take Bryce Young. The Bears then take Jalen Carter. We did a little test here with Anthony Richardson going to the Colts at the 4th overall. Will Levis goes to the Raiders at 7th overall, and then you're going to get CJ Stroud, 9th overall to the Carolina Panthers. I don't really see this happening. CJ Stroud's my clear quarterback 2 in this class. The Pats trade up to the 10th overall for Peter Skoronski. You could replace him with Broderick Jones if you want, maybe even Paris Johnson. Whoever you like, the Patriots are going to go up and trade for him. We reach a little bit on Jackson Smith and Jigba. You're going to pair him up with Justin Fields. The Eagles win the draft by trading back, as well as still landing Christian Gonzalez. We get Quentin Johnston to the Chargers. Zay Flowers is going to go to the Giants. This situation will feed him volume right away. Dalton Kincaid, a special receiving option. If you don't like this pick, I suggest you do a little bit more research on Dalton Kincaid. He's an absolute superstar, and I've been really pleased with the hype and my research lately on him. We get Bijan Robinson to the Bengals. If this happens, he might be the best running back in the entire NFL, like right away. This situation is just too crazy, too powerful, too fun. Then we're going to get Michael Mayer to the New Orleans Saints. This is just taking best player available. This team's up against the cap wall. Seems like kind of a mess. We'll see how it shakes out during free agency. All right, fellas. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the full mock. We tried some new things here. We're never trying to keep it stagnant. We like to try out every scenario we can think of. If you guys hate the decisions I made, that's all right. We just like to have fun. Hopefully I got you guys every single player you wanted for your team. And if I didn't, I'll catch you in the next one.